new earth to the industry. So I would say I wouldn't speak in a term of years, but I would maybe in a term of revenue. So, anyone coming in, probably under that $1 million range if they haven't hit $1 million just yet. We probably, from that 0 to maybe $500,000 range in the business. So from somebody just getting started out to up probably about $500,000. In my opinion, that's who this program works best for. Because it's just showing you how to set up basic sales systems, basic activity, basic accountability, follow up. I know in mine, a lot of times we talk things operationally, even. I know this is a sales focused program, but sometimes, hey, we get somebody that is getting new business in, but hey, they just lost an account because of too many complaints or something like that. So we want to make sure that we're helping them iron out those operational kinks. I know a big thing that you bring to the table is, hey, they got their CRM working and it's usable, but maybe it's something on the automation side that they can do to where they can focus on the actual activities instead of having to manually do so much stuff. So in my opinion, probably that 0 to $500,000 range. No matter how long you've been in the business, around that range. And a big thing about this program is accountability. We are going to meet. We're going to go over your numbers on a biweekly basis. We are going to pay attention to your metrics. We are going to make sure that these proposals are getting delivered on time and going through the pipeline and all that stuff like that. So, in my opinion, that 0 to 500,000.
Okay. Yeah. And I agree with you 100%. That definitely is a sweet spot for this. Just a kind of a note or news kind of update. I think in the beginning we weren't really going live. It wasn't going out live, so it should be going live now. It looks like we have people that are
Yeah, I
actually
seen that.
watching now. Okay. Yeah. So I don't usually do this. Usually it's AJ. So me kind of
Nah, it's
getting
all
used to
good.
doing it is on the fly is a little difficult. So I apologize. So for those of you that are just coming in, this is a live talking about the CBN 1010 program where myself, Tony Williams, Brandon Orr, and AJ Simmons are the coaches. And the program is basically a program that helps you get to $10,000 in revenue in 10 months, where you get the ability of having individual coaches to help you and assist you get to those levels. We do everything from going over your numbers, as Tony said, getting you leads for walkthroughs, and also helping you with your walkthroughs, your proposals, the whole kind of the whole spectrum of your business from beginning to end. And it's not really like Tony was saying, not really something that is for someone that's just starting out. But I mean, I don't see why it necessarily couldn't be if you had the right kind of mindset and you had the right drive and determination. But if you're interested in joining the 1010 program, going across the bottom of your screen as we speak, it says grow by $10,000 per month. Visit 1010program.com. If you go to 1010program.com, you'll get all the information that you need. And like I said, I'm one of the coaches. Tony's one of the coaches, Brandon Orr, and also AJ Simmons, and possibly some more coming on in the future. But definitely, guys, those of you that are watching, if you can, please come to the YouTube and make your comments. I can't really see all of the comments in the other platforms. So please ask your questions, anything about the 1010 program that you have or anything that we can assist you in. Please definitely put your questions in there. And we have someone that's not necessarily a question, but a comment from the Cleaning Biz Trapper. Great afternoon, guys. Appreciate you. Great afternoon to you. Cleaning Biz Trapper. I like that. I like that call sign right there. All right. Tell us a little bit. Where are you from? Where are you calling or watching from, Cleaning Biz Trapper? I'm really interested. And if it looks like you may have a YouTube or something like that, it sounds familiar. So definitely, if you have any questions for us, please hit us up and let us know what questions you have. So Tone, anything you want to specifically talk about in reference to the 1010 program?
Man, just really, man. Just one thing I've been going over with my clients in the 1010 program, and we it's just a sales thing. um activity, activity. um Defining what that looks like for you on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, like, and focusing on that, focusing on the inputs, focusing on the things that you are going to commit yourself to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to move the needle. Like, does that mean working on your website? Absolutely not, in my opinion. Like, you do that on your downtime when the kids are asleep, or you home not doing nothing, or whatever like that. Setting up your email campaign, like, absolutely not. Like, I'm big on when the doors are open, when the sun is up, when people are at work. Those are the times you should be producing income. Those are the time you should be making cold calls. Those are the time you should be sending those direct emails, not an email campaign, like actually sending targeted emails. Those are the times you should be going on walkthroughs. Those are the times you should be doing drop-ins. And so when it comes to those metrics, like, what are you holding yourself to every day? So if it's like, hey, I'm gonna make 20 phone calls a day, like, how consistent are you going to be with that? Like, what can you put in place to make sure, yeah, for no matter what, I'm gonna do that. Like, and then you go on and on. But so my one of my jobs as a coach, and one of your jobs as a coach, is to figure out what that looks like for each of our clients, because it's not a cookie cutter thing, because everybody has a different lifestyle set up. Some people are still working a full-time job. Some people have, full-time roles as parents, like, whatever. So, it's not going to be realistic to be like, hey, you need to make 50 phone calls a day, when realistically we just set them up for fail. So, part of the program is us dialing in on what that activity looks like for you. So even for the people that are watching, like, you know, evaluate that for yourself. Like, what daily activities am I doing to produce income, to generate revenue? Like, what things am I doing on a daily basis that's doing that? That's not watching a podcast, that's not hopping in and watching us here. Like, yes, we want you to do that, but don't consider that working. Like, that's your growth time. That's the time that you're learning. That's the time that you're developing personal development, professional development, whatever. But during those working hours, like, say your working hours just maybe 8 to 2. So from 8 in the morning to 2 p.m., like, what are you doing to produce revenue? So that's just the biggest thing, man, that I see, not even just with my clients, but just when people reach out and just want to talk. Hey, how can I grow my business? Okay, what are you doing every day? And most of the time when you ask somebody that question, well, today I did a little bit of this, and then I worked on my website, and then I did, and that's not growing the business. Like, so figuring out what that activity looks like, and good day, bad day, remove the emotion, focus on the activity. Like, if you having a great day where everything's up, you might be more inclined to pick up the phone and call. So it might be easy to do those 20, 30 dials. But then you have another day where everything's falling apart, and you might not feel like it. But if you commit yourself to say, hey, no matter what happened, I'm doing this, then you can jump on and still make those calls. So, commit yourself to some daily activities. Would be what I want to say to everybody.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I used to be an instructor in the military, and I taught air traffic control, and I used to have a lot of different little sayings for my students. And one saying I had was no deposits, no withdrawals, right? So
Big facts.
yeah, no deposits, no
Hey,
withdrawals.
hey, hey, you should get that doggone plaque up right behind you, bro. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
legit
And I used
right
to
there.
say that to them all the time, man, because it's like when you go to the ATM, you go to the ATM, if you haven't put anything in it, you're not going to get anything out of it. So you go up there and say, well, I'm going to put in, I want $100, but you haven't put $100 in there beforehand, you're going to get a slip that says NSF, insufficient funds. That means you didn't put in enough to get out. You know what I mean? You didn't put in the time. You didn't put in the 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 blood, sweat, and tears. You didn't put in the grind. You didn't put in all that stuff. Now you want to get all of this back. It doesn't work that way. You got to put in the work. You got to do the time. You got to do everything you got to do to get your business to the next level, because everything that's happening for you today is from the work that you did yesterday and the day before that, right? So your work today is not for today. It's for tomorrow. It's for the future. So you got to put in, you got to plant those seeds in order to have that blossom further on down the line. If you don't do it, if you just have the seeds in your hand and you're not doing anything with them and you don't plant them where they need to be planted, then you're not going to get any flowers in the end. You're not going to get anything from it. They're just sitting there in your hand. Your future, your dreams are in your hands. You just have to go and plant those seeds where they need to be planted so that that can come to fruition. So you got to put in the time.
And one thing too, like I know that there's some people, like I said, everybody's life is set up differently. So, not everybody is going, like, not everybody's, activity is going to look the same. Like, you've done a great job at setting up systems. So I'm pretty sure, as far as cold calling, cold email and stuff like that, you don't do that anymore yourself. Like, you got VAs and stuff that do it, but part of your activity is probably following up, checking your dashboard, making sure that they're making the calls that they need to make, making sure that they're producing the amount of walkthroughs per month or whatever that they've agreed or you've put in place for them to do. So, depending on where you're at in the business, your activity changes. But the thing is keep it consistent. Like, don't spend time, on things that can wait, like, or something that can be done, in the off time or something like that. Like, don't waste your business hours and your working hours doing things that, aren't essentially going to help you make money. So
facts. Yeah. You have to be effective and efficient at the same time. You can't just be doing just busy work and think that's going to get you to where you're trying to go. There has to be a purpose for everything that you're doing. And that's why when you're in a 10-10 program, we kind of have it structured so that everything that you're doing is a step forward and a step in the right direction to get you to where you're trying to go. Whether it be a certain number of cold calls, a certain number of emails sent out, door knocking, whatever it may be, whatever your specific program is set up and designed for, we're going to make sure that we keep you moving in the right direction and always in a forward progress and not, God forbid, in a reverse or backwards progress. The goal is to keep you moving forward, keep you moving in the direction of growing your business and taking that to the next level, and helping you to achieve that efficiently and effectively if possible. We don't want to waste time. We don't like idle time. We always want to make sure that you're moving in the direction that you're trying to move to get your business to the next level.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Wichita Pro. We got a question.
Okay. Yeah. I just saw that. Okay. So we have Wichita Pro Cleaners. Great feedback, Tony, on the daily activity. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys for sharing. I'm getting a lot of leads from apartments. What's your take on closing the deal in your non-negotiables? Okay. All right. I'll let you start off, Tony, with that.
Just clarifying real quick, man. If you're hearing us, are you talking about for apartments specifically or just in general?
Yeah, that's a good question. So let's see. I'm getting a lot of leads from apartments. What's your take on closing the deal in your non-negotiables? Yeah, I'm not quite sure what he's referring to.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. All right, here we go. So here we go. Apartments in general. Since apartments in general, I'm getting a bunch of apartment leads some for common areas. I just would like for them to be reoccurring leads. Okay.
Okay. So I'm assuming that he's meaning a reoccurring contract. So common areas, that's probably the easiest to get as far as like reoccurring. You know, it's not the highest paying, but it just opens up a lot of avenues for more work. Especially if you have different verticals, if you do carpet cleaning, if you do tile cleaning, if you do turnovers or anything like that, it starts to open up more stuff. Um, but as far as closing the deal, man, it's just you apartment complexes. You got to remember that they're property managers, like you know that. And when you working with property managers, price is always a factor. Unless you're at some luxury or high end, extremely high end, more time price is going to be an extremely strong factor. Of course, you want to show up and do a good job, but if someone can show up and do a decent job but be priced a little bit lower than you, you know, most of the time they're going to run that way. So understand that when you're in the apartment game that you are competing in a very price focused niche or however we say it. Um, so I would just really make sure that my pricing is right. Like understand that like your margins may not be insane with that. Like make sure you have good solid pricing for that. So for the common areas, making sure you have a clear understanding of what it is that they want, like as far as the scope. So, you know, how often am I gonna need to, you know, for one, show up. You know, what am I doing when I show up? You know, how often are you going to want me to, you know, get the cobwebs and, you know, stuff like that down? Like, how often are we going to need to bring the pressure washer out here or even clean the carpets in the hallways? Like, you know, getting an understanding in the totality of it so they understand that you're not just there for a short period of time. Hey, you know, these are things that we might do like every 6 months. And I'm thinking about that. Like I'm not just thinking about like what we need to do on the day to day, month to month, or whatever, because I'm thinking more long term. How can we help you improve this property all the way around? And then also your other service offerings. So if you do turnover cleans, you know, get an understanding of what their apartment floor plans are and be ready to present pricing if necessary for apartment turnovers. Okay, how many turns are we doing every month? Like, you know, how many people are moving in and out of these apartments every month? You know, making sure you're asking the right questions and stuff and being able to present the proper information is going to be a way to help you lock in a little more recurring revenue with those apartment complexes. Been there, we've done it. So you know, it's just one of those things that unless I got with a very solid group, like a solid management group that has, you know, multiple properties, like 5 or more properties. Um, you know, we tried to stay away from doing apartments, but like they're definitely low hanging fruit. Definitely low hanging fruit. So you can get in there and close it, man. If you're getting them leads coming in, go get the business, go make it happen and discover for yourself if whether there's something you want to do or not, because you might get in there and it might be your vibe. Like you might get a system down and you might get some people that really work well in that apartment system, and like that can just be your jam, and now you known as the people that do it and all the property managers around calling. So you know, I say go in there, know your pricing, know your scope, and close the deal.
Yeah. Awesome, Tony. I to be honest, I started off with apartments and I didn't really know what I was doing at the time. And I don't really do apartments as much anymore. I do have an apartment complex, and I have had a situation where I'm bidding for another apartment complex, but it's mainly the common areas, not the the turns, right? Which we'll do if if it's kind of profitable and beneficial for us, but it's mainly for the common areas because that's more of a consistent recurring basis. Turns aren't really always as consistent. It's whenever somebody moves out, that's when you do it. So we kind of focus on the common areas. I just had a situation where, and I'm going back to when you were talking about knowing the scope of work. Knowing the scope of work is extremely important because, like Tony said, they are property managers and their goal is to get the best rate that they can for the most work possible, right? So they want to get the lowest rate they can get, but also get the most done for that rate. And the person that was in the apartment complex, I went over there, I got referred by another client that I had. So they referred me to that client, and it was not a problem. She was there. I didn't realize she was there temporarily. So I had done a job for her and went through, and every time I go through a walkthrough, if they don't have an actual scope of work, I make them tell me what they want in each location, in each area, right? Because I'm recording it. So when I'm recording it, I'm also creating the scope of work. And then when I send them the proposal, it's off of what they said that they wanted. Well, I did what she said she wanted. And with apartment complexes, if you aren't familiar with it, it's basically a deep clean. It's a deep clean top to bottom, right? And it's, the appliances, inside and outside of the appliances. A lot of times they want you to move the stove, the refrigerator, all that other stuff. So me knowing that, I asked her the question, hey, do you want me to move the stove? Do you want me to move the refrigerator? All this stuff. All that stuff, she said no. This was back in December, right? Well, she is no longer there. There's a new property manager there. The property manager, I guess they finally put somebody in that apartment, and behind the stove wasn't cleaned, behind the refrigerator wasn't cleaned. Some other area wasn't cleaned, right? So I went back and I looked at it. I was like, I literally asked her if she wanted those things done. It went off of the scope of work that she stated that she wanted, right? So understanding what the scope of work is and what the scope of work should be is very, very important when it comes to going to apartment complexes or any business. Knowing what the scope of work is and sticking with that. That's what you kind of sell a lot of your services on. You tell them this is what we provide for this price. So knowing your numbers goes a long way. Knowing the scope of work definitely goes a long way, and it keeps you out of trouble because you can go back and say, well, this is what you agreed to, and this is what I did, as opposed to this is what you think I should have done. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but apartment complexes can be really, really, really good, really profitable if you create a system. They can be recurring and do really, really well. Like Tony said, if you have a system for it, it can definitely do wonders for your business, and it can become a niche for you that you can kind of market and promote your services off of. Hey, we're the apartment turnover, whatever gurus, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that could be an actual niche, the same way Airbnbs and all that other stuff are for other companies. I saw you jotting something down. Were you getting ready to say something?
No, no, no.
Okay. Okay. I thought you were taking notes on me.
I'm from VA Beach.
All right, let's see. So let's look. See, we have some more comments. I think that's Wichita said. I appreciate your time and support, gentlemen. I appreciate you. Thank you. And we have the Cleaning Biz Trapper. Okay, I'm from Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
I'm a DJ. I am DJ in the CB. Oh, okay, I got you. All right, DJ.
I think he posted that this morning or something like that, I believe.
Okay. I put the post out about using a Cricut machine for doing my aprons, and I made a post about doing a cold email that turned warm. Okay. But yeah, the Cricut with the apron was good. What were you saying, Tony?
The funny thing about the Cricut, man, like all of our early shirts with Impact, bro. Like I had went and brought a Cricut machine, and I gave it to my little sister. I was like, yo, like we need some shirts. Like, let's make this happen. And we had found a store over in Kissimmee that was like a big like wholesaler for t-shirts. And so we would go over there and buy shirts for like $2 a piece. And she would do them and Cricut, like do the little Cricut, and she would do the she would weed them. I think that's what they call. Well, you got to pick all the the stuff
Yeah.
out. So before we really got like official and start, just ordering our shirts and stuff like that, we were in the middle of like getting like a sublimation printer, so she wouldn't have to do as much work. But yeah, all of our early shirts and hats. We had aprons. We had vests because we did a lot of post construction, so we was making our own vest, like all that stuff like that. We was doing that on our own. So
So
right with
we
the
did
printing
we
machine.
did the
So that
same
so
thing,
that
man.
that's game, bro. For the people that's just getting started out, like, hey, you spend that $200-300. Oh shoot, you might be able to find one used for like $100. Like, if you're not producing shirts at a super, high volume, that can be your way to get your first little lineup.
Yeah, we did the same thing, man. We did all my hoodies, all my shirts, all of them were done with crickets. Peel that stuff off, iron it onto the
Hmm.
shirt. We used to get our shirts and stuff from we have a place called Ollie's here. And then
Yep.
also we used to get our t-shirts from Walmart. The George t-shirts. They're
Hmm.
just plain t-shirt colored t-shirts, and they were the best ones because they didn't fade. I love those t-shirts from Walmart. They're by George. I other than that, I've never heard of it, but they are the best quality t-shirts I've had. And to this day, I still get those shirts just because I do different kind of shirts for my business and stuff like that, and just my wife does it also. So we love it. We love it, and that's the way to go. We used to have aprons. The hats, I didn't do that with the hats. The hats I had made, and then I started kind of bringing in some revenue so I could afford to kind of have somebody embroider those things and kind of do it. But yeah, that's absolutely the way to go. Save as much money as you can if you can do it yourself.
But don't do it during business hours. Wait till the sun go down.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, I feel you on that. All right, let's see. I think
All
it was
right.
another part of his statement though. What did he say? He says, and I made a post about doing a cold email that turned warm. I don't
Hmm.
remember that post though.
Yeah, he just I think he just posted that this morning, or
Oh,
I
this
seen it.
morning?
Yeah, let me see. I think that was this morning. No, that was yesterday. I saw it this morning. That's what it
Oh,
was.
okay.
Yeah, he posted that yesterday about getting he I guess he pulled the email list with some um I believe it might have been property managers, and before he even finished up his cold leads, one of the property managers had hit him back, warming him up with the other property managers. So,
Oh, okay.
you know, um just do the work, man. Like how AJ always says, when it comes to what marketing, what lead acquisition works, the answer is yes. Like, cold emails work,
Yeah,
cold calls work, drop ins work, SEO works, Facebook works, Instagram works. Like, it all works. Like, so it's just a matter of putting yourself out there and the right person seeing you at the right time. The right person getting that email at the right time, the right person answering that phone at the right time. It all works. So
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so once again, guys, this is live talking about the 1010 coaching program. If you see down below, you see it says visit 1010program.com. As you visit 1010program.com, there's going to be information on the coaching program, what it entails. It also is going to be a video on there, kind of explaining it a little bit more. And we'll be here every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, to kind of go over answer questions, talk about the different things that the 1010 program or supplies or provides for you. Also, the other coaches that are going to be on board that aren't necessarily here today is Brandon Orr and AJ Simmons, of course. Along with Tony and myself, we will be one of the coaches that you will be, you know, um, put with in order to help you with your business, to help you get to those goals of that is provided in the 1010 program. Definitely a lot of value in the program. Definitely a lot of accountability, guidance, helping you with everything in your business that you could possibly think of, but just making sure that we're getting you and putting you in the right direction to get your business going where you want it to go, to get to the levels that you want it to go. Everyone needs some type of mentor, some types of coach, some type of advisor, even people that are making six figures and seven figures and stuff like that. They have coaches, they have mentors, they have people that they bounce ideas off of. So I do, I'm sure I know Tony does, AJ does, we all do, because there's something you don't know what you don't know, right? And your perspective of things in your situation is different from somebody else from the outside looking in, and they can probably give you better insight on some things that you probably should be doing, some things you should not be doing, and stuff like that. It's like being in a relationship. I put it like this. It's like being in a relationship and everybody around you is telling you the person that you're with is not good. It's not for you, is not, has your best interest at heart. And then when you get out of the relationship, you see everything that they were telling you. You don't see it while you're in there. But once you get out of it and you have a different perspective of it, it all starts to make sense. So getting yourself a coach, a mentor, an advisor, or something like that is definitely beneficial for you and your business. And it looks like we have some more questions. And Tony, jump in whenever you want to. I don't want to feel like I'm doing all the talking.
All right. We go through these last two pretty quick, and then because it's almost 2:00.
Okay.
So what do I do as an African student in Russia? Wanting to start a cleaning business in Russia, but not fluent in the language to win clients and don't have the money to hire a Russian for the job. That's unique.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think about is the many Hispanics that come here that don't speak a lick of English really. But they can show up and get to work. So my thing is you learn how to communicate like the best you can, and we have so many tools, Google Translate, Apple Translate, like those different things. So any way that you can communicate your value, which is going to be the biggest thing, because work is universal. Like once you show up and start doing the work, that's universal. It doesn't matter what you look like, how you speak. If you can do the work, that's going to speak for itself. But if you're living in a foreign country, man, I would encourage, I've never had this experience, so I'm not speaking from experience, just like trying to evaluate what that situation could potentially be like. Just do your best to start learning more. Make that a part of your daily activities, is learning a little bit more Russian. Like learn in a manner that may be more business centric. So those are some things that I would suggest. Like I don't really want to give advice because I've never been in that situation, but feel like the easiest thing would be, hey, hire somebody to go in and do the sales or whatever. But I know you say you don't have the money for that just yet, but I don't know, work on better ways to communicate and do your best to present your value as clearly as possible.
Yeah, and I'm not going to really touch that. That's you. I think you answered it very, very well. But I would imagine that if you are a student in Russia, you have some type of way of communicating with your teacher, with your classmates, and all this other stuff. So I would use that, whatever that form of communication is that you're using. I would use that to kind of get you some clients, to get you some workers and stuff like that to kind of work with you. And if you can get somebody that's more fluent in Russian than you are, then you can kind of use them to kind of help you with translation and stuff like that. But like Tony said, there's Google Translate, there's Apple Translate, and some other things that you can use. But I'm not going to kind of touch that because I've never really experienced that. But that's a different question right there. All right, and we're at 158, so let's try to get this one right here from Silver. And Angelina Lopez says, what do you recommend as a sales strategy to get church facility managers to actually find value in having a service rather than their members. Okay. Um,
Um, Go
I,
ahead. 'Cause I know you've done churches, so
yeah, I've done churches. And yeah, I've done churches. My main experience with churches is more on a disinfectant level. I did have a few churches where it was recurring, but a lot of those, it's the same way you would sell any other company, any other, facility. The only difference with churches is that a lot of them will have their members do it, but in my experiences, when you have the members do it for more times than not, they're not getting paid for it, right? So you're gonna get what you're paying for. And I say that to mean that if it's not gonna always be as professional as they are expecting or as they are wanting because you're not paying the members, right? So you're telling them that you're bringing in a professional service that's going to be uh, pay attention to the details of every aspect of the church, depending on what's in your scope of work, right? From the pulpit to the sanctuary, the the family areas and stuff like that, the common areas where everybody's going to be. If you, I don't know, it, you have to more so ensure or preach to them that you're going to be consistent, you're going to be accountable, you're going to be dependable and professional, right? It's going to be a professional cleaning service as opposed to somebody that's coming in that's not obligated to do it. So at any time, they can stop doing it. At any time, they can, just say, well, this is not a part of my job or something that I'm required to do. They don't have to do it. They do it off of volunteer, off of what they want to do. But you are a contracted service to kind of provide that service for them. Um, it takes a lot of stress off of them. I would imagine having a professional cleaning team come in there and do it on a recurring basis, a consistent basis. So I would think that's kind of where I would put it. I don't know how you would do it, Tony. Probably have a different way of looking
um,
at it.
yeah, I would just say
Oh, you're breaking
assuming.
up.
Can you hear me?
Okay, now I hear you.
I would say assuming more of the liability and reliability, kind of position yourself more as peace of mind, because you assume a lot of liability, like coming in as an insured company, using a standardized, program and process, like the fact that you color code, the fact that you have more team members and manpower and different things like that, and then you're contractually, obligated to do certain things. Just from my experience, um, it's hard to compete with free, because like, man, like when you're talking about members doing stuff, it doesn't always mean because they're doing it free they're doing a bad job, because it talks about giving our time, our talent, and our treasure. So some people that show up to clean the church, they take that very seriously. So, just because it's a member doing it for free, it doesn't mean that they're doing it at a bad quality, but they still may not have all of the tools you have, as far as being insured, being contractually obligated to do something, having your own equipment, your own supplies, like those type of things. So just I feel like positioning yourself as free of mind, I mean, as like more peace of mind, than anything. But it's difficult a lot of times when it comes to the members, especially if you're looking at a smaller church. Now, when you get to the bigger churches, in my opinion, those will probably be easier to sell to, because they function a lot more like a school or a larger facility. But if it's just like a small, what we would call like a community church, maybe 200 members or less, a lot of times it may be a little more difficult um, to sell versus a member that doesn't mind coming in and doing it on their day off or whatever it may be.
All right, great, great, great answer, Tony. You always come with a better perspective. It's such a more professional, I
I,
think.
I would say
Superman.
a different perspective.
Different. All right, we'll do different.
I would say better. Definitely different.
All right, man. I appreciate you. With that being said, tell them who you are and how they can get in contact with you, Tom.
And my name is Tony Williams. Just reach out to me everywhere across all socials. And at TonyWilliamsOfficial.com. Tap in. You know, I'm here to help. And as of course, always you can go to CBN network and find me on the consultants list. If you like a one-on-one, I'm there. But main thing is the main thing. Sign up for the 10-10 program and come have somebody help you walk to that 10,000 extra per month. So I mean over 10 months.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. I appreciate you, Tony. Tony is one of the coaches for the 10-10 program. I am Sherman Lewis. You can reach me at Sherman Lewis Official on YouTube. And I am the owner of Squeaky Clean in South Carolina, also Clean Success Academy and Clean Success VA Staffing Solutions. Do me a favor, go to 1010program.com, click on the link in there, click on the video, get your information about the 1010 program. We all need a mentor. We all need a coach. We all need an advisor. We all need an accountability partner to kind of help us take our business to the next level. You don't know what you don't know, so try to find out. And the best way to do it is to join us in CBN and also the 1010 program. With that being said, you guys have a blessed day. We will catch you next week, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Eastern time. You take care now. We'll catch you next time. All right, Tone.
All right,
bro. Headed to the top, ain't none of y'all stopping me. Used to say I never get a ring, Charles Barkley. Now I got a wife, got kids on property. Bubble-eyed beans that look like that be watching me. Okay, I lied about the beans, but that was hard though. I'm still in that black act, but she starred though. Cause that's all it takes. I'm flashing for. I'm on my grind, not no more fashion show.